You know, when you look at a company's performance chart, it's never just a nice, smooth line going up, right? It's always jumping around, dropping, spiking. So how are you supposed to make smart decisions when your most important numbers are bouncing all over the place? Well, that's exactly the challenge we're going to dig into today.
Take a look at this. This chart shows Tesla's quarterly vehicle deliveries, and it is a perfect example. One quarter, they're up, the next, they're down. This chaos, this noise, it's not just a headache for some analyst. It has real, very expensive consequences for pretty much everything, from planning production to figuring out marketing incentives.
So how do you find the real story, that true trend that's hiding inside all of that volatility? Well, that is where a really sophisticated filtering technology comes into play. It's called the Δ.72 Coherence Engine, and it is designed to do exactly that.
Now, to really get this, we need to separate two key ideas. First, you've got the signal. That's the true underlying trend you're actually trying to find. And then there's the noise. Think of noise as all the random static that gets in the way. Things like supply chain shocks, weird seasonal shifts, or even just quirks in how data gets reported. Basically, noise is everything that's hiding that beautiful, clear signal.
Honestly, the best way to think about this Δ.72 engine is like this. It's a pair of noise-canceling headphones, but for your business data. It's built to filter out all that distracting, costly static so you can finally hear the clear, coherent signal that's been underneath it all along.
And just how effective is it? Well, going back to that Tesla case, applying this approach improved the stability of their core signal by a staggering 98.7%. No, that is not a typo. 98.7%. To understand how that's even possible, we've got to take a closer look at the data.
Okay, so let's dive into our first case study. We're going right back to Tesla. Because in the super high-stakes world of making cars, being able to forecast accurately is, well, it's everything. And here you can see that transformation in action. That jagged, chaotic blue line, that's the raw delivery data. But that smooth orange line, that is the clean, stable signal that the Δ.72 engine pulled out. This right here is the difference between just reacting to chaos and actually planning with clarity. And this is why having a clean signal is so incredibly powerful. When you base your forecasts on that smooth orange line, the results get dramatically better. In backtests that simulated real-world forecasting, this method was over 22% more accurate than a standard model. That is a huge leap in predictability. So, what does a 22% cut in forecast error actually mean in real dollars? It means you can better manage a quarterly pool of vehicles worth $709 million. It means you have the ability to avoid all those costly end-of-quarter discounts and incentives simply because you planned better from the start. Okay, so this clearly works for a complex manufacturer like Tesla, but what about a completely different industry? Let's pivot to e-commerce and see how this same idea applies to a company like Shopify. So for Shopify, the engine was pointed at something called transaction and loan losses. Now, this metric is basically a stand-in for all sorts of costly financial leaks. We're talking payment fraud, customer chargebacks, refunds. And guess what? We see the exact same pattern. A messy, noisy blue line is transformed into a nice, stable orange signal. Now, the benefit here isn't just about better planning. It's about direct, tangible savings. When you can see the true trend in these kinds of losses, you can get way better at addressing the root causes. Just look at the table. Capturing just 10% of that volatility could translate to over $17 million in savings every single year. And if we look at that mid-range estimate, capturing about a quarter of all that financial noise is worth nearly $44 million annually. That is the kind of value that's just sitting there, hidden inside the data, waiting to be unlocked. So what's becoming really clear is that this isn't some niche pattern for cars or for e-commerce. This principle of finding the signal in the noise, it's universal. Let's look at a couple of quick, rapid-fire examples. And this versatility is really the key. On the left, you see it smoothing out the cost of revenue for the SaaS giant Atlassian, which gives them a much truer picture of their operational efficiency. And then on the right, it's stabilizing daily package volume for FedEx, something that is absolutely critical for logistics planning. Two totally different business models, two different KPIs, one incredibly powerful result. I mean, the applications here are just so broad. You can use it for tracking software efficiency, logistics volume, manufacturing output, and even nitty-gritty operational costs like overtime pay. The core idea is always the same. If a critical business metric is volatile and hard to predict, it is a prime candidate for this kind of signal extraction.
So after looking at all these examples, from cars to code to cardboard boxes, what's the big takeaway here? What's the bottom line?
It really comes down to this. Taming the volatility in your key metrics isn't just some abstract analytical exercise for the data science team. It is a powerful, critical lever for improving performance, cutting down on waste, and unlocking significant, real-world savings.
Ultimately, every single business has its own noise. So the real question, the one I want to leave you with, is this. What critical, valuable signal is currently hidden inside yours?